literary criticism. Now, this is where stuff gets boring for a lot of students of literature because literary criticism, they made it look more complicated than it has to be. So if we go back to our lesson plan, you'll see that I gave you a nice short definition. Remember, English majors are jealous of the sciences. So we decided we're going to make up all these fancy terms and overcomplicate our art, you see. And that's what we're doing. So I decided I'm going to be a bad boy, and rather than torture you as my undergraduate professors did to me with a bunch of ridiculous, useless philosophy, boil it down to its very essence so that we can all understand it and grasp it or run with it or do whatever the heck we want with it. Here it is. Definition is the often philosophical practice of judging and commenting on the qualities and characters of literary works, asking what a text means, how it works, and why it matters. Got it? Now, the thing about this is, again, we're looking at why it's pretty much the art of enjoying literature and writing about literature. That's really what it's all about, literary criticism. But again, all these fancy schmancy English professors and English majors want to make it more complicated than it has to be. So my job as your professor is to simplify it in its simplest terms. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the world and literature through world, truth, history, hierarchy, culture, style, and art. And remember, this is all very subjective, and it's also very, what is the word I'm trying to think of right now? Well, I'll just show you. Look at this. Now, let's compare this camera metaphor. Oh, it even says it's a Nikon. I love Nikons. Old-fashioned 35 millimeter Nikon camera has some filters. And these filters, the reason why I put them up here is because each filter has a specific job. You can highlight certain colors. If you've got a green filter and you go into a beautiful forest and you put your green filter on your camera, you can highlight the greens better and get rid of some of the dead looking colors. And you can do that with yellow if you're going to the beach, or the orange if you want to get the beautiful sunsetty colors. You can highlight those. And I forgot, red is best for black and white photos, if I remember right. It cuts out a lot of the glare, if I remember. But anyway, what does this have to do with literature and literary criticism? Well, the problem is, you see, there's all these subjective isms. These highfalutin professors, they started coming up with all these different isms to explain and analyze and appreciate literature. We've got classicism, formalism, instructionalism, and feminism, and Marxism, and post-colonialism, and postmodernism, and they're all really ridiculous. And that's why I made this. This is how they look at the world and how they, I want to say this, when they're doing literature, they're writing literature, this stuff is going to show up in their works. So, classicism, for example, if we were to go back to, let's look at some illustrations, because classicism, I lost it. Where's mine? It says illustrations. I don't see my illustrations. Doggone it. I lost it. Fine, let's just go back. Literary criticism. Gimme. So, looks like I lost my illustrations. I thought I had them up here. No, it's right there. Illustrations for my ism lecture. I'm not as dumb as I thought. If you look at, because remember, this is not just literature, but it's art and the way we look at the world. Well, the people, Europeans, the Chamok Manuk or Washichu, whatever you want to call them, when they talk about classical literature and classical music and classical anything, they're referring to the oldest of the old as far as relating to the ancient Greeks and Romans. And that's why you see in classical architecture this emphasis on this old style, highly embellished columns, and one famous building that we all know and love is this one. There is classical architecture that harkens back to ancient Greece and Rome. See all the big columns? Take out a penny, look at that, you'll see classical architecture. So if we were to go back to my discussion on what is going on here, what we need to know for literature and any kind of art, when we look at classicism, is that these guys are, what it says here, superstitious in the respect that they're hearkening back to ancient Greek and Roman, the mythology and the gods and all that. So it says here they're very moral and they're very traditional. Mystery, the world, you see, in a classical writer or artist or builder, the world for them is a mystery only meant for God or the gods to know. King Zeus or Jupiter only knows the mystery, and we just have mere mortals, you see. We just have to grovel and marvel at it. Truth comes to man only from up high, only from the gods. History is a record of the complex relationship between man and the gods. So you'll see this in the literature. If you read ancient Greek mythology, you'll read that there's anything historical has to do with the relationship, the Iliad, the Odyssey, the Aeneid, all that stuff. A lot of the writings from then, it's going to be a record of that. Hierarchy for them is prescribed by the gods and is best learned and not questioned. Culture, all writing that we do should reflect high-minded historical and superstitious Greco-Roman culture. All our culture should reflect that. Our style has to follow established divine rules set forth by the gods. The gods, you see, rain down aesthetics upon us, and we have to follow what the gods say, what the gods believe is right, what the gods believe is beautiful. That's what we follow. Same with art. The best art, if you go to Catholic churches, you'll see a lot of statuaries, and that's very classical because the best art, according to classicists, is best with scriptural references. In the case of the Romans, that would be from the Bible. In the case of Roman Catholics, I should say. In the case of the Greco-Romans, it's going to be the scriptures of the Iliad, the Odyssey, and all those ancient myths. Now, if we move forward to formalism, now we're moving into the 18th, 19th century, so somewhere around there. What is formalism? Well, I got some notes. I'll just read from them. Formalism is this idea of strict adherence to or observance of prescribed traditional forms as in music, poetry, and art. In religion, it's a strong attachment to external forms and observances. So to make a molehill out of a mountain, the basic idea of formalism is that if you want to produce any kind of good artwork, you have to follow some established set of rules. Think about math for a minute. You have to, if you want to come up with a right answer on a geometry exam, you have to follow some sort of formula or proof. Do you not? Got to memorize those formulas. Back when I was struggling through math classes at St. Philomena Elementary School, my mother used to nag me to death about that, saying you got to memorize the formulas. Then you'll be able to solve any math problem. I hated math, as you can see. That's why I became an English major. What else? Now, how do we plug all this into literature? Well, why should we even care To answer these questions, we really need to get to the root of formalism first. I won't lie to you. Formalists probably had mothers like mine, and they grew up trying to make art look more scientific. Follow the rules, and your art, your literature, your poetry will be better. Let me see. Says here, think about writing a letter. Well, let me keep reading. See, Mom, this is just as complicated and the great cushy jobs from blah, 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 blah. I already talked about that. How does formalism work? It begins by asking a bunch of important questions in their minds. What's the difference between poetic language and everyday language? That's big for them. What's the difference between literature and, say, writing a letter to your mother? Totally different. Form. Follow some specific conventions and rules in the way you write. Our answer, of course, is form. You see, there's a big difference between telling a girl, I wanna have sex with you, and wooing her like Andrew Marvell. You all read a Andrew Marvell poem, have you not? If you haven't, I should post one on e-learning. Never mind, let's keep going. Rules. What rules does Marvell follow to make his poem effective and poetic? Well, he uses rhyme. He uses couplets, A, B, B, C, C. That's a form, you see. It's a rhyme scheme. He uses meter, stressed and unstressed syllables. There are 8 syllables per line. That's called iambic tetrameter. I'll show you in a second. So, get back to this goofy looking graph I drew here. So formalists take a lot from the classicists in that they do still believe in the knowledge and form and laws being rained down upon us, but now man has a little bit more power in our arts and when we create. We're still traditional, we're still prescriptive and dogmatic, but now a little bit more power in our hands and decide what we want. So the world is knowable, you see, through immutable material and spiritual laws. Just follow the God's laws, and we should be okay. What about history? Well, nope, truth. Back to truth. Truth is absolute. It's accessible only through reason, the age of reason. And morality, laws about being good. History is not important to understanding of texts. I don't know why there's a hyphen in there, but whatever. Hierarchy is still immutable and impermeable, just like it was over here. Culture, not important to understanding of texts. So they moved away from that. Style, though, has to follow established rules, also called tropes. And art, values can be measured. If you saw Dead Poet Society, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can measure poetry to see if it's any good or not, and the meanings are always evident. Now, as a special gift, I am going to share with you this poem which is called the Pow-Wow, the Chumash Pow-Wow. Where did I put it? I didn't put it here. Nope, that's, nope. I thought I posted it, but I guess I didn't. Well, anyway, I'm not going to read the entire poem because it's too long. This is an Indian writer who's using formalism in his writing because he had a formalist professor. And if you know anything about Native American writing and Native American literature, and a lot of our poetry, we write free verse. There's no real rule. We just write and let the words flow. But this old farty formalist professor didn't like it. So the Indian guy said, well, I guess I'll just have to follow the forms then. So he wrote Spenserian verse. And again, iambic pentameter too. Or actually, this is tetrameter here. And if you don't know what iambic is, it's sort of like a heartbeat. It goes like this, just like a drum. So Sacred drum. Now, the Indian in question is a Chumash Indian from Santa Barbara, California. And he wrote this poem, and I'm not going to preface it too much. I'm just going to read the first couple of stanzas, and then I'm going to stop it. And I'll post it on e-learning. If you want to read it, you can. Here we go. Today the Chumash Pow-Wow calls, and folks respond in caravans, forsaking grander city malls to shake their conquered brothers' hands. And many come from distant lands with hunger for exotic arts. Their sacred pilgrimage demands fulfillment, and the tribe imparts. Observe now as our ceremony starts. Great rolling Winnebago trains like buffalo not want to wait. They thunder cross the infant plains, discharging piles of human freight. This clan looks forward to this date. Each year they gaily praise it, for no one can appreciate fine art like those who raise it. Undaunted, culture proud, the tribe displays it. So I'm going to stop it right there because I'll just stand up here and read all day long, and we don't have the time. I got to go home. So I thought I had posted it, but I don't see it. I posted it. It's gone. Never mind. Literary criticism illustrations. I guess I lost it. Anyway, I will post it another time. Native American literature. No, it's gone. Oh well. So have a look at that on your own when I post it on e-learning. I'll post the full poem and some illustrations go with it. And you can see with a Chumash Pow-Wow. Well, I actually put one up here. That looks like my old buddy Choi Slow. I think Choi Slow means black eagle in English. And that's the Chumash Pow-Wow. They put these Indians way out in the middle of nowhere. And eventually, the Chmokmanuk moved in and built houses up in the hills, all overlooking the res. And these Indians, way back when people were first building casinos, the Chumash built a little itty bitty bingo hall and turned it into a casino, and then they got rich. And all the local Chmokmanuk got jealous because the Indians were getting rich and they had an itty bitty land that's about the same size as our college campus. And they got enough money and they started buying more land all around. And then some movie stars that lived near them, when they died, they passed the land, they willed the land to the Chumash tribe, and their res got bigger and bigger. And then a lot of the Chmokmanuk got jealous about it. But never mind, let's get back to the powwow. The powwow, which takes place somewhere around, I believe, the 4th of July, somewhere near there, or summer solstice, there's always intertribal and mostly California tribes show up, but also the Chumash dress in a more traditional grass skirt, or they'll often have red-tailed hawk and owl feathers. That is Crowheart. I forgot his English name. Crowheart. I had never met this fella here, but he's got some, look like red-tailed hawk feathers, not sure. But anyway, oh, yep, that's very traditional. See, they have seashells? That's very Chumash. In the ancient times, they used to wear grass skirts, but the other Indians used to make fun of them, so they stopped doing that. Now they just use more this kind of netting and black crow feathers instead of grass skirts. Now, I'm going to stop it here, and I'm going to show you some, I'll tell an Indian story. How's that? That'll work for our next section of our lecture. So, I'm going to tell you the story of Kavanoska. I can't pronounce it. I'm tired. Long day. Been teaching truck driving. Kavanoska and Shawandasi. So, we'll stop it right there. Talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.